In a sun-drenched village nestled between wide green fields and winding rivers, where the rooster's crow greeted each dawn and the smell of boiling lentils drifted through open windows, there lived a boy named Ramanujan, who had never learned how to wait. He was bright, quick on his feet, and always in a hurry, rushing through breakfast, interrupting his teachers and tapping his foot every time his mother made him wait by the door. "Why is everything so slow?" he often grumbled. His mother would smile and say, "The world moves at the pace of growth, not impatience." But Ramanujan never listened. He wanted everything now: his rice to cook faster, his dog to stop limping right away, and the guava tree in their backyard to bear fruit, even though it was barely taller than him. One hot afternoon, when his restlessness had reached its peak, Ramanujan stormed off into the nearby forest, muttering about how the village was too quiet and too slow for someone like him. He walked deeper than he ever had before, until the path disappeared and the trees grew close together like a secret. There, in a clearing dappled with sunlight, he saw an old man sitting quietly in front of a patch of dry earth, digging into the soil with his bare hands. Curious despite himself, Ramanujan walked closer and asked, "What are you doing?" The man looked up, his eyes kind and ancient, and replied, "Planting time." Ramanujan blinked. "That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Time can't be planted." The man only smiled and held out a small gray seed that shimmered faintly in the light. "Take it," he said, "but know this, it will only grow if you stop rushing." Ramanujan hesitated, then took the seed and slipped it into his pocket, half convinced it was a prank. That night, he planted it in a pot outside his window, barely believing in it, and went to bed. Days passed, then weeks. The pot remained empty. Ramanujan forgot about it as life swept him up in his usual impatience. He grew frustrated when his dog's leg healed slowly, snapped at his younger sister when she couldn't tie her braid quickly enough, and groaned at the long wait for festivals and school holidays. But then, things began to change. One evening, he noticed his mother quietly sewing his torn school bag without complaint. He sat beside her and watched the rhythm of her hands, the gentle steadiness of someone who gave time without resentment. The next day, when his sister spilled rice on the floor and looked at him with wide, nervous eyes, Ramanujan paused, and instead of yelling, he helped her pick each grain up, making her giggle through her tears. That week, his teacher asked him to help a younger boy with his reading, and instead of brushing it off, Ramanujan sat with the boy every afternoon under the banyan tree, slowly helping him sound out each word. Without realizing it, his feet stopped tapping, his voice grew softer, his thoughts no longer raced ahead of the present moment. One morning, as the first rain of the season fell gently on the earth, Ramanujan looked out the window and gasped. The pot that had stayed empty for so long now held a fragile green sprout, and its leaves shimmered with the same glow as the seed. He ran into the forest, following the old path, and found the clearing again. The old man was there, waiting, as though he had never moved. Ramanujan held out his hands and whispered, "It's growing." The man smiled. "Then so are you." The wind stirred the trees, and Ramanujan felt something heavy lift from his chest. He understood now that time wasn't an enemy to be chased away. It was a friend, a teacher, a river that only flowed well when we moved with it. From that day on, Ramanujan lived differently. He still ran and laughed and dreamed, but he no longer demanded that the world hurry with him. He learned to sit by the guava tree and wait. He learned to be present when his sister cried. He learned to speak softly to his dog and gently to his mother. And one day, when the guava tree finally gave its first fruit, he plucked it with quiet hands and smiled. Not because it came quickly, but because it came when it was meant to. And in that moment, He understood that planting thyme wasn't about magic. It was about patience and love, and the beauty of letting things grow when they're ready, not when we say so.